Bodybuilding is a sport that is supposed to be associated with the pursuit of health and fitness. However, more and more often we are learning of the unfortunate deaths of bodybuilders dying at too young an age due to the deleterious practices associated with bodybuilding. It is apparent that since the introduction of steroids in sports, longevity in the sport of bodybuilding has been on a declining trend. I thought it would be interesting to research into when this trend began exactly, and in order to pinpoint the exact time this declining trend began to occur, we need to find out when the first steroid-associated deaths were reported. In today's video, we will look at the demise of Tom Sansone, the first high-profile bodybuilder whose death was associated to steroid abuse. Tom Sansone was the winner of the 1958 Mr. America and the 1963 NABBA Mr. Universe, and from these images we can see what an impressive physique Tom had developed. Post-competition, that is in the off-season, Tom continued to hold an impressive physique, and it is rumored that he was addicted to steroids. Unfortunately, Tom passed away from cancer on the 16th of October 1974 at the young age of 38, and the information I bring to you today comes from an article that was featured in Muscular Development magazine in February 1975 titled The Demise of Tom Sansone, Mr. America 1958. It is reported that his cancer was brought on by steroid abuse. And in fact, there is a research article that looks at his particular case in a medical journal. In the summer of 1974, many noticed that Tom was in hard training and making great gains. But something was not right, as Tom was complaining about internal pain, and it had been bothering him for months, and the pain had been growing more and more intense as time went by. He then got a medical checkup which proved that he had a tumor growing on his left kidney, and there were further complications, so an operation was suggested to determine the seriousness of the condition and to mend the kidney if possible, as well as his affected organs. One kidney was removed, part of his lungs had to be cut away, and it was treated whilst his vena cava was cleaned out, and there were some complications about Tom's heart, so they performed open heart surgery. What they found was not very encouraging. Through the lung biopsy, the doctors found that the cancer was a rare tumor associated with children called Wilms tumor and rarely found in adults. The cancer itself had metastasized to his vena cava and into his heart, hence the cancer was spreading through his bloodstream all around his body. But the doctors at the time couldn't even guess the seriousness of his condition because even at this stage, Tom was indeed massive, a muscular specimen, and terminal cancer was the farthest thing from their minds. That is to say, Tom looked healthy on the outside, like a superhuman being in fact, but the picture was completely different on the inside. Sound familiar? Yet for a time, Tom seemed to rally. He came out of the operation in fine shape, and those who visited him after his surgery said he looked great and looked like he would make it. He had none of the dragged out, drawn feeling that most people who undergo surgery show, especially those who undergo major surgery. Everyone who saw Tom felt that after another few days' rest, he would be on the road to complete recovery. Even the doctors were optimistic, although they did inform Tom that he had cancer, then adding that they felt sure they removed all the affected areas and that his chances for complete recovery were excellent. However, a short time later, the doctors determined that Tom's cancer was terminal, and just a few months later he passed away. It was a sad story at the time, and it is a sad story now when we recollect the life of Tom Sansone. Tom began training as a teenager, and during the early 1950s, he made an impact in physique contests around New York City. By midsummer of 1956, he developed sufficiently enough to win the Mr. New York City title in 1956. In 1958, he entered and won the Mr. America contest, which proved to be another great achievement for him. Then London was the scene for two more great victories. In 1963, he won the Amateur Mr. Universe crown there, and sometime later he went back to garner the Professional Mr. Universe title. Unfortunately, it is said that Tom Sansone smoked a lot and was addicted to anabolic steroids. The sad facts remain that while steroids can and do stimulate muscle growth, modern science has shown the association of anabolic steroid use and cancer. In particular, there is a positive correlation of anabolic steroid use with the growth of hepatocellular carcinoma or liver cancer, renal cancer, soft tissue carcinoma, lymphosarcoma, leiomyosarcoma, which is smooth muscle cell cancer, ovarian, testicular, and prostate cancer, as well as different types of lymphomas and leukemias, which are essentially blood cancers. It is postulated that the use of anabolic steroids may compromise the immune system, thus depleting the ability of defending lymphocytes to remove tumor-producing cells. Further, the use of growth hormone and insulin growth factor 1, which is more prominent in today's bodybuilding scene, is known to inhibit cell death and promote cell proliferation, and both are associated with colon, breast, and prostate cancer. It's very possible that Tom's internal system harbored cancer cells that laid dormant and were just waiting for a catalyst of some sort to send them off a tangent. And such a catalyst in this case was the use of anabolic steroids. Since the death of Tom Sansone, bodybuilding deaths have continued to increase and become the all too familiar story of the early death of a bodybuilder. Tom Sansone died at the young age of 38, and I repeat, 38, because I want it to sink in. This occurred in 1974. To think that we have had these warning signs since the mid-1970s should definitely ring the alarm, yet the dangerous practice of encouraging steroid use is more prominent than ever. It's really sad and kind of frightening to think what bodybuilders would do to gain muscle all around their body. The dedication is fine, but to try and build your body at the risk of losing your life is downright idiotic. Now, Tom Sansone's case is not likely the first case of the deleterious effects of anabolic steroid use. It is reported that back in the mid-1950s, when the first successful bodybuilding transformations were being observed, the first reported side effects were also being reported. Initial experimentation of testosterone and its derivatives yielded negative results, with liver toxicity and prostate enlargement being reported in some cases. But Tom Sansone's death was the first high-profile bodybuilding death that was properly investigated and reported on. And I thought I would bring to light this event that occurred almost exactly 50 years and 1 month ago to the day. Yet has anything improved regarding the practice of steroid use in the sport of bodybuilding? Are we seeing less deaths, healthier lives, and longer lifespans in the highest caliber athletes? Not at all. One can argue that the fitness industry has boomed since then, and along with improved medical science, people in the general population are living longer, happier lives. However, bodybuilding athletes are not. It is almost certain to say that there is a positive correlation with the increased use of anabolic steroids and earlier death. I am about to publish a paper with Dr. Connor Heffernan that argues this trend, and I am excited to continue this conversation that needs to be had and is long overdue. 50 years overdue, in fact. Reflecting on this topic, I would like to end this video with this parting thought. As freaky or spectacular as modern bodybuilders may look, is our entertainment more important than the health and the lives of the athletes we celebrate? Are they the sacrificial lambs that are slave to our twisted expectations? Is it really worth their lives? That is the question. For me at least, it is a definite no. Are we to sink to the level of the ancient civilizations that glorified in the spectacle and bloodthirsty death of gladiators? Because that is essentially what we are doing. All in the name of entertainment. And when the inevitable happens, new stories break out, but soon after we turn a blind eye to salute the fallen. Gladiators, we salute you.
We who are about to die, salute you.
And sure, we have mixed martial arts nowadays, similar to the gladiator analogy. And many of these mixed martial arts athletes do take performance-enhancing drugs. But at least they can tap out. Guess what? Bodybuilders can't tap out. They have no protection. So lest we forget the fallen. And it is high time we learn from the last 50 years of deaths associated with anabolic steroids. Because if we don't, we are just hypocrites. Remember, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And guess what? Not only is the same practice being promoted, but it is being promoted and practiced at higher levels. If that is not beyond insane, then I don't know what is. So I do hope that you have enjoyed this video on bodybuilding's first high caliber death associated with steroid use. And if you have, please give the video a like, subscribe, and leave me your comments. What do you think of Tom Sansone's death? What do you think of the trend of bodybuilders dying young and its association with steroid use? And should we place more effort in promoting natural bodybuilding instead? I certainly think we should, but that is just my opinion. Anyway, that's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, are Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.